Hi everyone, I'm Maleah from Wa Samaki Ecosystems, and today we are making cheddar and chive scones, and then we're gonna fire them up in our Chilean barrel oven. We have our dry ingredients already measured out, which is 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and ½ teaspoon of baking soda. So all our dry ingredients are gonna go into our mixing bowl. And then we're gonna add a touch of sea salt, not too much because we are adding cheese, so that already has some salt in it. Old bay spice. You could use garlic powder or any spice that you feel for. Some freshly ground black pepper, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and then we're just gonna mix this all together. I like the pink Himalayan salt because it's just healthier for you than table salt because it still has all its minerals in it. You could use white sugar. I just prefer to use brown sugar. I just always have brown sugar in my kitchen. Sometimes the white sugar is like in the freezer or whatever. Okay, so now we have our butter in cubes. Well, kind of in cubes. We want our butter to be as cold as it could be, so ideally you would just pull it right out of the fridge. It's really hot today, so I just have it in a bowl of ice water. So we're just gonna put our butter into our flour, and we're gonna use our hands and just kind of squish it into the flour a bit to make a almost sand-like consistency. You could use unsalted butter, but then you might just want to add a little more salt or a little more cheese. For scones to rise, you need the butter to be cold so that as it melts, it creates a steam and puffs up the scones. So if you use melted butter, you would probably just get flat scones. This is the texture we're looking for. It's not powdery like plain flour anymore. It's kind of starting to come together a little bit. If the butter was a little more cold, it would look a little more powdery than it looks now. Okay, so I'm picking some chives from our aquaponic system to add to our scones. So these are garlic chives, chive. So next we're gonna chop up our garlic chives that we just picked from the aquaponic system. At Wa Samaki, we try to grow as much food as we can, as well as I try to incorporate it into our daily meals. So this is just gonna add a nice oniony, garlicky flavor, as well as some nice green color. And of course, I just like to use it because this is what we have growing. So this is about a ½ cup of chives. That's going in. And then we're gonna add about ½ cup of grated cheese as well. As I mentioned, this is just regular cheddar cheese. As I mentioned before, you want all your ingredients to be as cold as possible so that it rises nicely in the oven. I make my own buttermilk by just having a cup of milk and adding 1 tablespoon of white vinegar to it, and that makes it curdle a bit. So you add that to your mixture, and then you give it a good mix. This is the consistency we're going for, something that's relatively dry and that you could scoop onto your tray. So next, we're just gonna scoop out our scones onto an ungreased baking tray. I use this cookie scoop so that everything is equal. And just do it on this side.
Why does it have to be ungreased?
I just find it works best when it's ungreased. It just easily comes off, especially because in the barrel oven, we're cooking it at such a high temperature. It kind of just comes right off the pan. I get the best result when I put the scones in the freezer to set for like about 10 to 15 minutes. That way, because you want all your ingredients as cold as possible, when you stick them into the hot oven, they have a nice steam and they rise as much as they could. So these are going into the freezer. Okay, so while the biscuits are getting nice and cold in the freezer, we are going to light up the oven. Of course, if you have a regular oven at home, this is a good time to preheat it. So our Chilean Barrel Oven is made with clay bricks, the same way we made the rocket stove. And it has a barrel on the inside with a layer of BRC, and that is what the bricks go onto, so that there's a layer of air all around it. And as you heat up the oven, it lights up that chamber all around and makes the barrel really hot. And then in about 10 minutes, we'll be able to cook in our oven. So unlike the traditional clay ovens, this one uses quite small pieces of wood to light up, and it also lights up very fast. So it's quite an efficient oven if you don't have a lot of firewood and you just have a lot of twigs and smaller stuff around. We've had the scones chilling for about 15 minutes, and now we're gonna stick it in the barrel oven. So the oven is at about 350 to 400 degrees. So at that temperature, it'll probably bake for like 13 to 15 minutes. Right, so it's been about 20 or so minutes and the scones are ready to come out of the oven. So they're nice and golden on top, and on the bottom start to get a little brown. Right, so we know that they're perfectly cooked when they come off the pan super easily, and they're nice and brown on the bottom and nice and light on the inside. Yummy.